Hello everyone, welcome to International Trade Practice. For this chapter, we're going to discuss about the offer and order. It will cover on how we're going to sell our products in other country and how we could send them their orders. Offering is an important part of any business efforts to acquire new clients. A project proposal should list the services that can be done and how long the expected project will take. To fully understand the concept of offer and order, we have four major objectives. Number one is let us define the concept of offer and order. Secondly is let us differentiate the types of offer being used in trading. And the third one is let us know the procedures in accepting trading proposal and its general rules. And last one is let us familiarize with the process of preparing purchase order. Our topic outlines are definition of offer, types of offer, definition of acceptance, rules of acceptance, and orders and intent. So this topic is very easy and simple. We're just going to understand how are we going to send a business proposal or offering proposal, and how are we going to acknowledge and accept the orders of the buyer. It's more on like the concept of buying and selling. To start with, let us define what is offer, or in layman's term, it is known to be business proposal. It is essential factors of the formulation of the contract. Before you write the contract, you should send a business proposal to the buyer. Either you're going to initiate the offering, or if the buyer found out your products, they're going to ask you for a particular list of product. Okay, it is a proposal by one party to the other to enter a legally binding contract, and an acceptance is the act of agreeing to the offer, and that is business proposal. Business proposal is a written document, okay, stating that you are offering your products or a project to the client. So these proposals can be solicited or unsolicited. When we say solicited, it is being asked by the buyer. Okay, maybe they got your brochures, or they got some flyers, or they heard about your products, and then they will be asking to you about the list of your products, including the price. When we say unsolicited, you are going to go to a different firm or stores, or to the place of buyer, and then you are going to offer them what you have, and you're going to explain to them what is your product all about. Every company has a particular template or format on how they are going to write their offer sheet. And some of them are very formal, some of them are informal. Like here in your screen, I have the model form number 5 from Korean Agar Agar Products Company Ltd. You could see there the offer sheet. Okay, it's also like a letter. Okay, it is a letter wherein you could see the description. Okay, the description of the product, the quantity, that is the number, and then the unit price, including also the Incoterm, the CFR New York, and the FOB Busan Korea, which states who will gonna shoulder the shipment cost, and where it will be delivered. Okay? And also it includes the amount. And in your offer sheet, you could particularly see, okay, the payment. Okay, the payment is through letter of credit, the shipment, okay, how it will be shipped, the packing, the instructions or the standards on how the product will be packed, then the quality, okay, when we say as sample, as it is was being shown to the buyer, the origin, Korea, validity. So this offer is valid until September 20, and then let's say it's 2020. Okay, so it means that the price and the packaging, okay, and the conditions will only valid until September 21. Why, Professor? Because you know what, the price is the price is fluctuating, and maybe sooner or later there might be some changes with the cost of the raw materials that will affect also with the cost of the product. That's why, so this offering is intended only up to September 21. And when they buy or when they order the products within that period, the price is the same. But beyond September 21 or after September 21, the prices might change. Okay, and they have also some remarks. Okay, the prices quoted above are net prices. Okay, and there are closing remarks, and then the name of the offerer. There are different types of offer. Number one, we have the firm offer. Second is counter offer. Third is free offer. And the last one is offer without engagement or offer subject to market fluctuation. So every company, they are using this kind of types of order, either free order or firm order, or sometimes they just only use counter offer or offer without engagement. Okay? No distinct type of offer is included or excluded for every firm. Okay, so this type of order can be used by any of the firm depending on the nature of their business. Firms offer. Okay, so these firms offer can be solicited or unsolicited. When we say again solicited, it is being asked by the buyer. When we say unsolicited, the firm takes an initiative to give the proposal to the buyer. Okay, so a firm's offer is a definite offering of one person to another for the opportunity of buying certain goods and services at a given price and period. So you are going to send a proposal letter, okay, stating the descriptions of your goods and the services that you are offering. Okay, so sometimes it is included, it includes brochures or pamphlets or the pictures of your products and services, okay, stating the functions and other additive value of the products. Here is the specific example of offer sheet. Okay, so the HV Bio, this is from Korea. This is their offer sheet. Okay, they have a reference number so that they will know, and they will track, okay, which offer sheet that they had that they are referring to. Okay, and an introductory message: we are pleased to offer the under mentioned items as per conditions, and details described as follows. So description is there, the quantity or units, and the unit price, and the total amount. No, they're not going to put a total amount here because it is just only an offering. Okay, so it will change if the buyer agreed how many Alcom years, decimons, tapina they are going to buy in HV Vio. Okay, and also a particular instruction for shipments. Okay, within 1 month after receiving a payment in advance, then payment, then packing, shipping, origin, and validity. So it's subject to our final confirmation because this is just only an offering. Okay, so another one, we have the a blank space offer sheet. Okay, this is the customer's name. Okay, attention to if there will be another person, you need to get the you're offering to, and then the offer number, okay, the date, and date is very important because it will confirm the validity of your offering. Okay, starting date and the ending date of the offering sheet. Then still you have the origin, where it came from, where it is made, the payment term, the price term, validity, delivery date, shipping port, destination, shipment, and packing. And then there will be a total amount. And you have, why do we have to write the item number? So that you can count how many items, okay, not the units, okay, or not the pieces. It is, when we say item, the number of product, okay, the categories of product, including the description, also the quantity, unit price, amount, and the remarks. That is specific sample of offer. Counteroffer is a proposal against a firm offer. It is the alternative offering if the former offering standard cannot be accepted. So it is on the side of the buyer. So when the buyer had seen your proposal, they are going to, they're going to bargain for a particular price and some additional services when they're going to accept your offering. Example, if a seller offers to sell 10 tons of tuna, okay, and for around $150,000 to be paid in 60 days, the buyer receives the offer and gives a seller a counter offer of around like $140,000, and it is payable in 45 days. It's like the response of the buyer on your offering, okay? So you have to expect that the buyer could give you some bargaining agreements, or they're going to ask for some considerations with your proposals. Either they're going to ask for the lessening or decreasing of the price, or they're going to give they're going to ask for like some freebies or free services for the products that they are going to buy. Free offer is the third type of offering. It is an offer for a reasonable time, which the offeror merely stated the terms and conditions in which he sells certain merchandise. So, anyway, offeror is our seller. Okay, without binding the offeree, that is our buyer, to accept it within a specific period of time. So when we say free offers, that either again solicited or unsolicited. So the seller is going to give an offering without any like a commitment. The seller is going to explain or give the description of the product and the terms and conditions, and the buyer, it's up to the buyer, either he's going to take it or leave the offering. So this free offering is not bounded or binded with a specific period of time. If the buyer had decided to when he wants to buy or order the product, and then the offering will materialize. And the last type of offering is offer without engagement or offer subject to market fluctuation. It means that the quotation or the price the offeror or the seller gives is the market price of the day. So this is the existing price that they can offer. And he does not bind himself to accept an offer at the said price without further negotiation. So the seller is offering the product, okay, in a particular price of the day, but when the buyer had made a decision and later than the offering date, it might be subjective to the change of price. Okay, so it is used by traders in their price list when quoting the price of a certain product. Okay, when we say without engagement, it's that the seller could not promise or could not commit that they could still offer the same price for the product. That's why it is very important in the offer letter the effectivity date of the offering. And then if the offering okay, is accepted by the buyer according to the common law of most nations, dispatching of telegraph or letter of the acceptance against an offer constitute a contract. It is the final offer letter given to the buyer if agreement has been set by the seller and the buyer. Okay, so at this time, the offering, or this could be the final offer, because the buyer accepted the content of the offer letter, the description of the product, and the price of the product, including also the term. And when the buyer accepted those terms and condition, and the seller needs to send again another offer letter, which is a final, which approve the content of the and the description of the products. This offer letter or proposal is constitute like a contract, okay, wherein the buyer and the seller agreed on the product that is made to order. Or simply as this is the final offer, okay, given to the buyer, okay, wherein they agreed, the buyer and the seller, about the content, about the description, the price, and the other terms and conditions of the transactions. And here is the specific sample of final offer, okay, from Hong Kildong Company Ltd. This is the offer sheet, and the addressee, the number, okay, the offer number, the date, then the address where it is being sent, then the payment term, shipment, shipping port, destination, packing, origin, validity. Okay, so you have to be careful with this one because it's written here until our further notice. So the buyer should be careful of this. And then the remarks, subject to our final confirmation and minimum quantity of 20,000 meters per one shipment. And you could see here, sworn before us that foregoing to be true and correct, because this will be like testifying that the informations had been checked and agreed upon by the buyer, and they have a full knowledge of the content of the offering, because when you write the contract, the details will be the same, and whatever problem that may happen, okay, they're going to go back to check what is written on the offer sheet. And this offer sheet is the summarized contract, okay, for buyer and seller. But when you go to the uh, to the to the public lawyer, okay, if you need for the contract to be notarized or signed by the lawyer, okay, you still need to show this offer sheet as the summary of your offering. Once they had made a final offering, it is a mandatory action for a buyer to accept the offering. Okay, sometimes in the old times they only accept the offering by verbal, but due to some legal matters and some commercial dispute, okay, they require the buyer to make an acceptance letter, okay, in like they are acknowledge the offering of the seller. So this is the indirect or apparent intent of the offeree to accept the rights and assurance the obligations proposed in the offer. So acceptance letter must be sent to acknowledge that the offering is accepted. So it means that the buyer should also send a letter to the seller telling them, okay, I accept your proposal. Everything must be in black and white, or everything must be written in a document. What are the general rules in accepting an offer? Number one, acceptance by offeree. Okay, take note, only the authorized person or only the person to whom offer is made. That's why you could see the name in the offer letter of the offeree or the buyer. Okay, so it means that the buyer or the authorized buyer or offeree can accept the offer. And secondly, acceptance must be absolute and unconditional. Once you receive the final offer, there be no changes with it because it is a final term. Okay, so you have to follow the final terms and conditions agreed upon. So when you send a letter, whatever it is written in the offer letter or in the offer sheet should also be written in the acceptance letter to make it consistent, to make it the information the same with the offer letter and the acceptance letter. Okay, effect of silence on acceptance. So if in case that there is no response from the seller or buyer, okay, so the silence means no. All terms and agreement must have a consent from both parties. So if the buyer is not going to respond with the final offer of the seller, there will be no business transactions. Silence will be accepted when there's already a contract of sales. It means that the silence will only be acknowledged if you already signed the contract of sales. But if the buyer did not send an acceptance letter, it means that they are not interested because they did not reply with the offer letter. Another general rules in accepting an offer is the time of acceptance. Remember, acceptance must be within the time limits offered or given reasonable time due to the anticipation of market fluctuation and seasonality. That's why, as I had mentioned, and I keep on emphasizing that um, the offering is only limited for a particular period of time because if the season change, definitely there will be some changes with the prices, there will be some changes also with the shipping costs, and there might be some changes also with the schedule of the production. That's why um, you had to consider that when you accept the offer, it must be within the time limit. And the fifth general rule is acceptance in formal shape. That's why I keep on telling you that it must be written, it must be accepted through signed and delivered documents. Okay, um, the buyer should write an acceptance letters and send it back to the seller. The sixth general rule is the retraction of acceptance. Once the contract is finalized, he cannot withdraw the agreement. That's why there are a lot of commercial dispute related to the unfulfillment of contract. Okay, so you can make some changes. Okay, but it should be upon the final approval of the seller. That might be an advantage for the seller. Either they're going to accept it or not. So that's why it is very important that you have to study very carefully the offering. Okay. After sending the acceptance letter of the buyer to the seller, the buyer is going to prepare a purchase order or order list. Okay, so this is the document and first official offer issued by a buyer to a seller indicating the types, quantities, and agreed price for a products or services. Remember, it should be the same with what is written on the offer letter. Okay, it is used to control the purchasing of products and services from external suppliers. what could be the format of purchase order. Okay, either it can be through electronic purchase order or it can be the PO form. Okay, the PO form. Okay, many purchase orders are no longer use paper-based order because of some environmental considerations, but rather they transmitted electronically over the internet. I know that you experience ordering online in Coupang, Gmarket, Amazon, in Alibaba. Okay, so you put your order online. Okay, so it is a common for electronic purchase orders to be used to buy goods or services of any type online. And these electronic purchase order have different names. Electronic purchase order, sometimes e-procurement, e-purchasing, e-purchase requisition. Okay, so the terms are normally all referring to electronic purchase order. And the second format of purchase order is the non-electronic purchase order. Okay? The record of purchase order in most business firms are still on paper, and thus there is a need for proper purchase order format. So this is the traditional way of writing your orders. Here is the specific example of purchase order. Okay, don't you worry because all of the form that is being used in trading has a particular name. So you could see here the PO number. Again, why PO number is important. Okay, for accounting purposes and to track. Okay, to track the transaction. Okay, this is the supplier's information and the delivery address, the delivery date, requested by, approved by, and ID department. Professor Wise, there's the same name. Okay, sometimes the one who made the purchasing order is not the same person as the person who approved the purchase order. Normally, the purchase order was approved by the purchasing manager, and sometimes the purchase order was being done by a purchasing staff. Okay, and if there will be some remarks or notes, there is a particular area for that. And then the item name, the item code, okay, and the quantity, the price, if there will be some discount in the total, and then the order total. Okay, and another one is from the builder MC, the purchase order. Okay, the job number or the purchase order number. Okay, is here. And this is the purchase order is different from the job number. This job number may be like uh, uh, a particular code for the months, okay, or like the series of like the listing of the documents that they had written. So the form is kind of different, but what is important is the purchase order number. Okay, the type of job, supervisor, estimator. So this particular uh, purchase order is for construction. Okay, for the construction. This sample includes the letter of acknowledgement. Okay, they have the purchase order online, and then there is a reference number, okay, or like acknowledgement receipt. You could see here in the example of letter of acknowledgement. Okay, like a formal letter. So thank you for order of September. So this acknowledgement is like you the seller can acknowledge or accept your purchase order. It is very important that the seller recognize if the buyer had already sent the purchase order. Again, we are pertaining to the period of the applicability of the price offering. That's why it is very important to acknowledge the every submission of documents. In the same way with the acceptance letter, okay, the seller is going to acknowledge or recognize the purchase order, and in the acknowledgement letter, it contains the description or the details of the transactions or the order made by the buyer. You could also notice here that it acknowledge a particular date, okay? And it enclosed with certified check for 49,000 pesos, okay? The amount if there's any payment made, but this one is check, but you could not enclose any money, okay, when you do the terms of payment, okay, or cash on hand. It can be, but for security purposes, what they are doing is they are transferring the money through the bank, okay, and then it also signifies the intention of like supplies are not limited to the items, and they offer also other items if they need anything. And the closing remark, this is the first order we have received from you. It is pleasure to add your name to our file of customers. So this is the acceptance letter of the seller to the buyer. It is accepting or acknowledging also the purchase order. And what about the indent or order? When we say order for goods, this is a place opened through a local or foreign agent of a foreign supplier under a specified conditions of sale. The acceptance by which by the supplier or the agent constitutes a contract of sale. So this is a written forms torn in zigzag fashion from a counterfoil to detect fraud. So what's the difference between indenting and purchase order? Like for example, you go in Coupang or G Market, you place your order into a cart, right? And then after you pick the items that you want to buy, you're just going to click buy. Then indenting is the same. It's like you are putting all of your items into a cart, or you order for the goods, and then when you made the final decision, you buy it and then you send it, okay? By clicking the buy, then it will be sent to the seller, and then it will you will receive a summary of your purchase order. That is for electronic, but for manual, it is being sealed with some a counter foil, okay, or it is an envelope, okay, that will protect the purchase order. There are two kinds of indents order. Number one is open indent and the closed indent. Open indent, it contains no instruction as to the firms supplying the goods. But for the closed indent, it is specified the firm or firms from which the goods must be procured. The open indent gives the agent a free hand in obtaining the goods from any source, but for the closed indent restricts the agent to a named manufacturer from whom the goods must be bought. So there will be a particular uh, manufacturer, okay, that the goods must be obtained. That is for the closed indent. For open indent, anywhere. So here is the example of a purchase indent. Okay, so if you can open also your coupon, you could see here some of the list of the item that had been purchased. So that's been placed in a cart. Okay, you could see indent on hold, pending, authorized. So these are the details of the order. So they are using the office management system. Okay. Here is the example of open indent. You could see the number, exporter, importer, the purchase, the sale, the letter of credit, what is written, how much. So these are the details of the open indent. And here is another example of the close indent. Okay, you could see the information. Just remember that the difference between the open indent and close indent is that for the open indent, okay, any supplier, okay, if in case you were a third party or let's say third agency, okay, any seller can supply the product. But for the closed indent, there is only a particular seller or a manufacturer that will provide the items that had been ordered. So I hope that everything is clear with the offering and acceptance of a buyer. The bottom line is that the offering of the seller could be solicited or unsolicited. Okay, if it is solicited, they're going to respond, okay, or they're going to offer a product upon the request of the buyer. And for the unsolicited, okay, they can go to any buyer and then offer their product and explain the content of their product. Um, the the process starts when the buyer, okay, or when the seller sent an offer letter, and then the buyer is going to acknowledge the offering and make some counter offer, and then again the seller is going to send a final offer, and then the buyer is going to send an acknowledgement letter and acceptance that he agree or she agree with the final offering, and together with that acceptance letter is the purchase order. Okay, and the purchase order will be sent to the seller, and the seller is going to acknowledge again. They're going to send an acceptance letter, okay, recognizing that the details of the product that had been ordered by the buyer. Okay, so everything must be written, everything must be acknowledged so that in case there will be some problem in the future, they have a basis and they have a guide on what is the real or what is the real details of the information or the details or information of the product that is written in the purchase order or the offer letter to avoid confusion. Okay, so I hope that you learned for today in a very short discussion. And if you have any further questions, just let me know and I will be much willing to answer all of your queries. Thank you. And that's for today. This is your professor, Dr. Christine Joy S. Simpao. Have a nice day, everyone.